Hello, Facebook. How are you doing this evening or this afternoon? Hopefully all is well with you. I'm Ronique West, the president of the Greater Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce. As you can see, I have a guest. It's Kiona Peters, one of our great partners with the Chamber of Fifth Third Bank. She's here to present Boost Your Credit Score. And I just want to remind you guys, do a little housekeeping. As you come to this live, make sure you share out this broadcast. If you missed this live broadcast, we also have a YouTube channel. It will be uploaded to YouTube or here over the next week, and you can definitely share it out with your friends and family. As we know, through the COVID-19 and just on a regular basis, everybody's always focused on your credit score. So as a business owner, yes, it's very important that you have a personal good credit score as well as your business, begin to build your business credit. But today we're going to talk about your personal credit with Kiona, and eventually we definitely will get into business credit as well. But we always want to make sure we are addressing both ends of the spectrum here at the Greater Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce. I know a lot of people have been waiting on this live, so we are live today. Go ahead and share out the broadcast, tag your folks, let them know that we have started and we're getting ready to go. Kiona, if you can go ahead and introduce everybody, introduce yourself to everybody as I make sure everything's good on our end.
No problem. Thank you so very much for having me, Ronique. Again, my name is Kiona Peters. I am a relationship manager here with Fifth Third. I provide the financial literacy program, which basically shares different tools and resources of how to manage and improve your credit to help you make better financial decisions. And again, that starts with your personal finance and leads over into your business finances, as
Yes.
well as creating generational wealth. Today, we will start out very foundational level for you. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat section there, as I'd love to hear from you. This is one of those sessions where we do like dialogue, but at the same time, I do want you to take a lot of notes, ask questions, and hopefully create some action items in the very end for you that can help you from today go forward. Unfortunately, with the whole COVID-19, it's kind of shaking some things up. Had some challenges with some budgets, some savings plans, but now the whole idea is to actually create more proactive approach versus reactive. But we want you to help you get back on track, and however that means for us to get started, let's get started and not go down the wrong path.
Okay. So yeah, so let's get right into this. I'm gonna go ahead and share out the PowerPoint here in a quick second, and Kiona is I'm gonna give it over to you as soon
Okay.
as you see it pop up. Guys, make sure you go ahead and share out this live whenever you get to watch this, and let your friends know if they're working to get back on track or anything. Kiona is a great resource with Fifth Third Bank, and we appreciate their partnership. So let me share this out. Bear with me. I always have to flip. Okay.
There we go. All right. So again, we're going to start with the financial literacy program, which it actually consists of 13 different modules. And today, of course, we're going to focus on boosting your credit score. Some things may seem a little elementary for some. However, we do want to start foundational level and then escalate or scale that up for you as to different tidbits and resources of how to move forward. I'm ready for the next one. All right, boost your credit score. One more. So as we start this off, we have a really quick quiz here. There's about 3 questions that we want to ask, and it's a fact or fiction. The first one, my bad credit score will haunt me forever. I'm not sure if you think that's fact, but more than likely, I don't know if that's true. The answer is actually fiction. Your bad credit score will haunt me forever is actually it's fictional, because there are different ways after this session you will understand how easy or how you can change those credit scores and go from bad to great. I'm ready for the next one. Next question says closing unsecured credit cards will help improve my score. Is that fact or fiction? That's interesting. Closing unused credit cards will help my score. Fiction. That's not always true, because closing out those unsecured credit cards when that could actually go against your credit score if you don't have other credit available to you. So it's not always wise to pay off everything and then close it out. You would like to, I would suggest to you actually meeting with your banker to talk through that before closing out any credit cards. Always want to pay them off and pay them down, but do not close them out. And the last one, as long as I pay my bills on time, I will have good credit. That seems reasonable. As long as I pay my bills on time, I will have good credit. We think that's fact or fiction. Actually, it's fiction as well. Doesn't always mean as long as you pay your bills on time, you will have good credit, because sometimes it takes a look at your utilization of your credit. Meaning, if your credit limit is at 1,000 and you're at $999, that doesn't mean that you'll always have good credit, because your utilization score does impact your overall credit score. And there's some other factors along with that that you'll learn here. All right, so now we're ready to understand credit. We have that easy addition problem up there. 2 plus 2 equals 4. All right, so importance of good credit. It's very important, of course, the good credit that you do have, you want to maintain that. The higher your credit score, the less you'll spend to buy things on credit. You know, there's an old saying out there, a cliche saying, cash is king. That can be true. However, at some point in life, you will need some type of credit, whether it's college education, you need a car that you can't pay full price for, or you may need some type of maintenance repairs at your home, or a medical bill, something you will need at some point. Here we have an example. Let's say you buy a car at $25,000 and you want to pay it off in 4 years. Taking a look at the different credit score ranges with the APR, notice how it impacts the overall monthly payment. So with the low credit score of 500 to 589, there's APR of 14.815%. That payment is $693. Seems pretty steep. However, someone with a 720 credit score to 850, they have an APR 3.3. That's a huge amount, a difference in the annual percentage rate. That's $557 for that total monthly payment. So actually, someone with good credit would save $136 a month. Some of you may say that's not a whole lot of money. However, taking a look at the life of the loan, that's over $6,500 of savings for the life of the loan. So it has a different type of feel to it. Monthly today, $136 may not seem like a lot. To some people, it is. However, the length of the period of 4 years, 6,500 is a lot of money. So you want to really make sure the bills that you have, you are continuing to pay those on time, even if it's the minimum monthly payment. Pay something to pay it on time, and then once you have the additional funds to pay more, then you would actually pay more. Two types of credit. We have revolving and installment, secured slash unsecured. Revolving is what we call unsecured. There's certain unsecured accounts on here. So borrow as little as you want up to a limit. There's a flexible repayment. Example is a credit card. That's a revolving unsecured type of credit. Now, home equity lines of credit, those are actually secured because it's secured by the equity in your home. And then you have installment loans. There's a specific amount, set monthly payments, which examples are mortgages and car payments. Could be student loans. They actually have a start date and an end date, is what I like to call those. So installment, which is those specific amounts. So you pay $557 a month on your car payment for 4 years, and then it should be paid in full as long as you don't have late payments and extra incidental charges on there. But however, on a credit card, depending on your balance, your payment can actually change and be very flexible. The less you owe, the less you pay. In reverse of that, or as I say, the seesaw effect, the more you owe, the more you will pay. Know your number. On here, we have the ranges of 300, as low as 300 to 750 plus. The credit score ranges today are 350 as the bottom lowest number and as high as 850. Again, that's 350 is a low number and it goes as high as 850. Now, if you take a look at the bottom there, you have the 300 to 499 range, which is good. It's less than 10% of the actual of the U.S. actually fall in that space, which is good. Now, this is back as of 2016. We had over 38% that fall into the 750 credit score, and that's huge compared to where we were back in 2008. 2008 seems like yesterday, however, it was 12 years ago. But a lot of people were nowhere near that 700 credit score. So it's great to see the uptick of clients being, or the population being at the 750 credit score range. So that tells us from the banking perspective that people are understanding more and more about credit, which is a great thing. And then of course the ones at the lower end there, the 300 plus, we love to help them get scaled up to that 750 plus range as well, because again, you can qualify for better rates and lower payments as you go to make those future purchases. Credit reporting. There are three credit reporting agencies. They're listed here on the screen. If you do not know them, please take a picture or write them down. Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. And one thing I do want to note about all three of those, in the past, there was this myth that Equifax had the information, would update the credit report first, or Experian would do it first. I've had TransUnion. I will tell you, there is no rhyme or reason as to who has it first. It's whoever gets the information first will post it. I've actually seen what Equifax will have my car payment on it updated first, and Experian my mortgage updated first. So I just look at it at least 2 to 3 times a year just to make sure there's no fraudulent information out there. But then also just keeping my eyes on my credit report, because although today I don't need to make any large purchases, anything could come up. I had a car repair here a couple of weeks ago, and I was scratching my head hoping that I didn't have to buy another car. But I took a look at my credit report just to see where my numbers were and where I fall in case I needed to do that. So it's always a rule of thumb: take a look at your credit report, see what's out there, just take a peek at it. And if you have questions, don't understand, please reach out to your personal banker or reach out to us. We'd love to be a resource for you to take a look at and understand what is on your credit report. What's in your credit score? So next few slides, we're going to break down your score. There, if you look to the far right there, there's one, two, three, there's 5 different components. And as you see, the further along, we see how the slices of the pie get bigger and bigger. 10% is new credit. This is critical. 10% seems low, but it's not. The 10% new credit is, you want to make sure that you are planning for your new credit. And although you may have a need, hey, I just need a loan for $2,500, $3,000, that you think it through versus calling 5 different institutions to apply for a loan. You know, you ideally you would like to start with whomever you have your banking relationship with today, because they know you, and take a look at your history that you have with that current institution to make sure that, you know, one, let us know your situation. I just need a loan for $3,000 to help with my car repair or help with school, whatever the case may be, a home repair. We could take a look at that, but be careful that you're not going 4 and 5 different places within the same day and just having your credit pull. You typically only want no more than 2 to 3 inquiries per year, because those inquiries stay on your credit report for a minimum of 2 years. Next up, we have credit mix. Same thing, 10%, it does seem low. However, these two pieces make up 20%. So credit mix of 10%, it actually combines with that installment loan or revolving. Revolving is the credit cards, installment is those personal loans, mortgages, and car payments or student loans. So you want to keep in mind to have a mixture of it, because if you don't have any credit and you go to buy a house, you want to call first, because ideally we want to see whom you've paid before, whether it's a credit card or a personal loan, a car payment, student loan. We want to see some type of credit history before you go from I don't have any credit, but I want to purchase a home for 200,000. Doesn't really work that way. So it's very important that you call and find out the requirements of what that financial institution is required for you to have, and they'll tell you, hey, we'd like for you to have certain type of, at least two revolving pieces of credit and maybe one installment loan. That way we can better qualify you to purchase a home. Next one is length of credit history, 15%, bigger piece of the pie. Um, the length of the credit history makes a difference. It's very important that you have and start credit as soon as possible, but keeping in mind that the credit that you do receive, you can afford and make those monthly payments on time. If nothing else, please make the minimum payment. If the minimum payment is $10 and all you have is 10, then pay the 10. If the minimum payment is 25, make the 25. I can tell you I've done it in the past where it's like, oh, $10, I'll just pay 25 the next month. Well, you got late fees, you have additional interest. So, and if you're close to going over your limit, they can actually charge you an over the limit fee. And those fees versus $10, you now may owe 75 to 80, because typically over the limit fee is like 35, $40. So you went from $10 in 1 month to now you owe almost $50 to $60. So you just want to be mindful of that, but also it helps when you need something additional. Whereas you may need a $3,000 loan this month, in 3 months you may need another $5,000. If you're not paying the payment on time, more than likely you may not be approved for that additional amount. And the bigger piece of the pie, payment history. Now 35%. Again, payment history and the length of the credit, those two, all of this goes hand in hand, but the payment history, you want to keep it on time as much as possible. I cannot stress enough the importance of having what we call no lates or paid as agreed on your credit report. Those look like stars in our eyes because it does impact your overall credit score. As you can tell, this is a huge piece of the pie, 35% of your overall credit score. So even if you have two credit cards and your limits are $300 each, and $600 may not seem like a lot, however, it's a great starting point. As I say, it's easier to start small than to start and fall all within 6 to 8 months. So again, be mindful of when your bills are due and create a small plan for yourself. If your bills are due on the 5th, try to pay them on the 1st. If they're local or close by, go drop the payment off and or set up automatic payments. I have text alerts for everything. I have alarms for everything. That's just to keep things top of mind, because although COVID has slowed us down, there's still a lot of different moving parts going on with work, life, personal life. I am very mindful of what bills need to be paid because it's, in Georgia, it's getting hot and I need air. So I need to keep my air, and I don't want to come in one day and I forgot to pay the electric bill and my bills are off. Now it's a deposit and everything else. It just has a domino effect. Last but not least, we have debt and available credit. Now, if you notice, payment history was at 35%. Debt and available credit is at 30%. This here is just as important as all of the other pieces of the pie. These last two, payment history and the debt and available credit, make up over 65% of the pie. So that tells you whatever credit you are approved for, to take it very, very seriously, because you never know when you'll need additional credit, and you don't want a small hiccup to come back to where, hey, I went from 3,000, now I just need 2 more thousand, I need a total of $5,000. Can you rewrite the loan so you can help me with this additional 2,000? We're gonna pull your credit report, and if we see late reports on there, 9 times out of 10, it's not gonna be favorable for you. So the debt and available credit, you want to make your payments on time, but also try to keep your credit utilization under 30%. Everything for me begins with a 3. And that's because if my credit limit is $1,000, then I don't go over $300 a month. So that means I can pay our cell phone bill, my water bill, and I can pay my electric bill up until the fall. That way, I make sure that the bills are actually paid. I know they're coming out, and then once we get paid, I just pay. I just go online and just make the automatic payment, have it set up to come out on the 10th, and it's done. But I do that just to show I'm utilizing the credit. I just don't have credit cards that's just hanging around, because some credit card companies, if you do not make a charge or a transaction within 12 months, then some companies will actually close out your card. So you want to make sure whatever type of credit cards you're receiving, that what those stipulations are and understanding the rules. All right, now we're ready to take action. Now that we've seen the pie chart, couple things when it comes to taking action. All right, where are you today? You need to understand where you are. I mentioned this a few moments ago. You need to understand where you are from a credit reporting standpoint. And right here on the screen, annualcreditreport.com is a great tool for you to use. Take a picture of it, write it down. I utilize this all the time, a minimum of 2 times a year. There should be only one Kiona Peters out there. Don't need a twin. Prefer not to have a twin. And it says here on the bottom, if you're not really proficient with a whole computer, then you can actually call 877-322-8228. Again, I recommend pulling your credit report at least twice a year, first of the year, the middle of the year, whatever works for you. I do that just to keep things top of mind, and you can pull all three reports. Again, it's annualcreditreport.com, not my annual credit report. All right, so now you've taken a look at your credit. Well, let's develop a strategy. We understand we walk through the mix here. Take each component of your credit and develop a strategy around that. If you're not sure where to start, yeah, I will tell you for myself, it happened to me with the whole student loans years ago, 25 plus years ago. I had so many student loans, I had no idea where to start. I had the bills coming in, I would make the minimum payment, and the bills just every 30 days, I had a pile of them. So what I did was actually take my bills with my credit report, and I went in and sat down with the banker, and this is a true story. I needed to understand, what can I do to consolidate all this mess, is what I considered it to be. And the banker there said, it's not mess, it's your credit report. It's your credit, it's what you've done. Now let's create a real plan around what you need. And what I needed was to sit down and just open my mail and say, I have half due on the 5th, the other half is due on the 12th. Well, I had to change how I got paid to pay my bills, not just pay 3 bills on the first, 2 bills on the second, 4 bills on the 5th, and the last bill on the 12th. And if you are in that position, then yeah, you have to start where you start. The other thing is getting in front of it, but taking a look at that, look at your new credit. Do you have family members and children that are starting school here in the next 2 to 3 months? It's what, in the middle of July, middle of June. So most people have about 4 to 6 weeks left before students go back to college. What type of credit mix? Do I actually start my college students out today? And with credit, do I get them a secured credit card, or do I add them to my credit card? I say be mindful of that. Have a real adult conversation about it, because it does help. However, it can hurt. The lack of knowledge and providing a college student with a credit card limit of $1,000 or more. I've seen good stories, success stories, and I've seen challenges too. So just making sure your child, guardian, your student understands the importance of it. The length of the credit history as well, having them understand that you've had the credit card for a while, you want to keep your good credit. We pay the bill on time, and then also whatever that limit is. If your limit is $1,000, then you and your student, or you and your child, discuss what that overall limit will be for them. If it's 100 a month, 300 a month, which is 100 a week. New credit. Rate shop in a short period of time. Do your due diligence. Here's where I would recommend Google at. Take a look at Google and look at your institution, for starters, as to what type of rates they have out there. Hey, I'm looking for a new credit card. I'm totally new to credit. Um, if possible, I like to have a regular credit card versus an unsecured credit card. What are the requirements? Pick up the phone and call your banker. You haven't talked to your banker in a while. Now would be a good time to connect because, again, you're talking 4 to 6 weeks before college starts up. Space out the different credit card applications. I would say space them out within a 30-day period. I wouldn't do 30, 45 days, 60 days. That's a little sparse because once a financial institution take a look at your credit report and we see there are multiple inquiries, we know one, it looks desperate, but two, you may or may not know what you're doing and why you're being turned down. So that's when we actually sit you down to have one of those real heart to heart conversations of what is your overall game plan with this. How are you really strategizing to use this credit card, and why do you need this new credit? Get back in the game. There's been times where people had hiccups. I am the first to admit it. I had lots of hiccups with credit cards and student loans. And once I created a budget around my pay, I had to really stop partying, stop spending just frivolously, stop shopping. I didn't have the latest and the greatest. I didn't have to have, name brand from top to bottom. It was put on what you have on and make sure the colors match and go on about your way. So, but if you had some hiccups in the past, I've had some people lose their jobs, divorce, medical, whatever the situation, bankruptcy, whatever the situation may be, you can get back in the game. It's understanding what you did before, just doing it a little bit different. And your report request doesn't count. So anytime you actually go on inyourcreditreport.com and pull a copy of your credit report, you're not um, there's not a dean to you. It doesn't pop up as an inquiry for the creditor or for a financial institution to know, oh, Kiona keeps pulling her credit report. She's looked at it 4 or 5 times a year. You can look at it as much as possible because guess what? It's you. All right, credit mix. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Balance of your credit mix. You have the revolving and installment. This is what I call the seesaw here. It's good to have a mixture of credit cards and they're also revolving as a HELOC. That is good as well because just in case you have cash, however, something comes up, home repair, car repair, you have credit cards you can use versus burning up your cash or utilizing that cash. Just understanding a realistic payment plan to pay that bill or that debt back. Now, from an installment standpoint, you have your mortgage, car, and student loan there. Those are really good examples. For myself, credit card, I have two credit cards, mortgage payment, car payment, and I have unfortunately that student loan, but no HELOC. So, but my credit cards, I'm very limited in using those. It's one of those must-haves, and or when I know the credit card company is having a special where I can get additional points, I'm all for that. All right, length of history. So this here we have two different snapshots of history, and we're looking at the overall average. So you have the different accounts. On the first one, you have mortgage, Visa, the Visa credit card, and the MasterCard. So you're looking at the 15 years, which is huge. Visa 8 years, MasterCard 4 years. Here's your average of 9 years, which is great. That's what we want. We want to show someone who's a seasoned credit card or credit holder. Along with the length of history, we also want to see the utilization of it, and then also just have you made your payments on time. So taking a look at the second one here at the bottom, this is, I actually like the bottom one as well. You have the mortgage, same amount, 15 years, Visa at 8, MasterCard 2 years, car loan for a year, store credit card for a year. Average is 5.4 years though. There is a difference. And the main reason is because the last 2 years, there's been a lot of new credit going on. You have that MasterCard of 2 years. Right after that came a car loan. And once you got the car loan, you went right behind that and got a store credit card. Not sure if I would have done that. However, different scenarios require different things. Sometimes different stores have different incentives around the holidays and or just in summertime, where some, there are different purchases. There's different 30, 40% off sales if you purchase it now with the purchase of this credit card. So just be mindful of that. The car loan, store credit card, I would not have done that around the same year. I would have tried to leverage that master credit card that I had for 2 years. All right, payment history. Please understand there are no quick fixes. However, starting immediately or as soon as possible is crucial. The longer you wait, the worse the credit gets. The longer you wait and procrastinate, the worse things are. Negative accounts have less effect over time, which can be true. It is all around your plan of action and how soon you take a course of action. We can plan all day, write on a sheet of paper, flip it over, write on the back of it. It is now that you have different scenarios, different plans, when is your start date and an end date? Because if you never start, we're just only talking. Pay your bills on time. You want to automate as many of your bills as possible, and please budget your paychecks. Your paychecks are very critical in making sure you keep just keep on track with what you're paying. I do that, and I can actually look online because I've received text alerts to say, hey, your payment to your electric company was sent over on the 5th, and it actually was accepted and received. So for me, that's my receipt, and I actually will send a copy to my spouse just to make sure to keep ourselves on track together. But then also just making sure that bill is taken care of because there has been situations where on the creditor side they have said, hey, we didn't receive your payment. It's like, oh no, I got a snapshot. Here's my receipt for it. And they have to go back and credit it for me. Collections and bankruptcies. Please reestablish your positive credit early. Go as soon as possible with that. Ask questions around the bankruptcies and collections, such as if you're filing a Chapter 7, 11, or 13, what are some terms and options you have available to understand those? You want to understand what you're setting yourself up for and getting yourself into. I've had collections, nothing to be ashamed about. You just want to understand with the collections, what does that look like? How can you actually get out of that situation and give yourself a realistic timeline? Trouble making payments. Make arrangements with creditors as soon as possible because you want to make sure that you are actually doing exactly what you said and keeping in mind keeping those payments as much as possible. Things happen, things come up. Please, whatever you do, pick up the phone and be proactive because one thing we don't do is specialize in reading minds and we don't know what's happening in your household without you telling us. Debt versus limit. Keep your revolving credit balances reasonable. We talked about the 30%. Everything for me begins with three. I recommend and encourage 30%. However, I've had the 50%. I've had the maxed out credit card as well. The main thing is creating that plan and getting back on track. Pay off the debt rather than moving it around. I've had to do that in the past as well. There was a game plan around it. There was also a time where I didn't have a game plan. That was just because I was stressed out and needed to take care of a car repair. So all of this is realistic as to things people have gone through. I can speak to it because I've lived through it, but I also asked questions. Was embarrassed initially. Then it got to a point was, okay, I need to get rid of this debt. Whatever you do, please don't close any unused credit cards. Always talk to your creditor and or your personal banker because you don't want to erase that history, especially if you've only had it 2 to 3 years, had some hiccups with it, and want to close it out. Because when you close it out and there's nothing else, you have to start over. That's the last thing you want to do is keep starting over. You want to always push forward. And then here at the bottom, you have an example there, the different accounts, the balances, and available credit. And it has a different credit ratios. So for instance, that first one has a great example with the Visa, MasterCard, Macy's, and Home Depot of 32.5%. Again, for me, everything starts with three. However, on the second column to the far right, there's 65% available credit there. So you want to take a look at how those cards, what the balance is, 500, and then the available credit. So you're using 50% there at that Macy's card. Same thing with Home Depot, that's at 25%. And then the MasterCard, you've paid it off. But however, the Visa card, 2,500 balance and available credit is $3,000. You're right up there at that 90% mark. Again, things happen. You have to use the cards. However, be realistic about a real plan around how to pay that debt down. All right, and this here is what we call our empowerment plan. I'll actually send this out to Ronnie to share with all of you. This again is the broken down chart that we have earlier, the graph around the 10% for the new credit mix, and then the debt versus the limit, payment utilization or payment history, excuse me, link the history, and then of course knowing your score with the credit reports, and then protecting your identity. You always want to be careful with that. Be mindful of where you're conducting personal transactions, even with family and friends. Seeing some horror stories around that, as well as in public places. Public transportation is not the place to discuss your social security numbers because, as you know, fraudsters, criminals are always on. They never shut off. So I just say be very mindful, be in a secure place when you're sharing your personal information in your car, at home, quiet time, but just be very protective of your information. Try not to pull out your debit cards in front of other people and just, secure your financial information as much as possible. And please don't walk around with your social security card in your wallet or your purse. Please don't do that. And we're close to wrapping up here. Yep, that is our last slide for Boost Your Credit Score presentation. Again, some of this was very foundational level for some of you. However, some of you, this may be totally new to you because you haven't touched it, haven't taken a look at it. I hope you learned something, even if it was, hey, I need to pull my credit report twice a year to take a look at it, just to see the basics of it, because it may have been a while, and or just I want to see what's on my report. You may be interested in purchasing a car by the end of the year. That's typically Q4 is when you'll start seeing sales. Most car dealers want to actually remove cars off their lot. So everything is negotiable. I've always learned that everything is negotiable. It's all in your approach and how you view it. And with that, that completes our session.
Thank you, Kiona, for all that great information on Boost Your Credit Score. Guys, if you have any questions for Kiona before we let her go ahead and drop it in the comments. But you did get a comment from Karen Smith. They said they miss you at Richmond County Transportation. So she wanted you to know that.
All right, thank you. Sorry I miss you guys as well. COVID has really been interesting for us, but hopefully we'll get back to normalcy here soon. But no, I appreciate it. Thanks for joining, Karen.
Yes, so she just wanted to give you that quick shout out. But I want to remind you guys, like you may have this information, but be sure you share it out with your friends and family. A lot of people are looking to pay off their debt or boost their credit score right now, especially with COVID-19 and then the concern of possibly having a second wave. This is a good time for you to prepare for possible things that may happen in our environment that are uncontrollable. So that's why we're always running the Empower You session with our great partners, Fifth Third Bank. We appreciate you guys. We ran them all last year, so it's kind of good that we still get the information out to you here online on Facebook, and then also you'll be able to catch it on our YouTube channel. So some quick housekeeping things. I don't see that I have any questions just yet. Want to remind you guys that June is home ownership month. So Fifth Third Bank will be back with us here June 30th, doing a whole talk on home ownership. So don't forget that. You want to tune in, set your calendars for that. Again, I think we're doing 5 o'clock on June 30th again. So we will be back here on live on Facebook on the Great Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce page. Chamber check-ins, of course, will be happening here this month as well. Business Matters will be happening as well during June on Facebook Live. And then chamber members, I want to remind you to check your emails. Make sure we're not going to your spam or anything. You're getting a lot of information you need to take action on that is time sensitive. So chamber members, be sure you check your emails as well. And I'll create a download for people who want to get that, possibly that help document, Kiona, and I'll drop it in the comments for you guys as well if you want to get this information, or feel free to contact the chamber if you need to, so we can get the information to you at info@mygabc.org. But yes, we have a very impactful summer for you, even though we're still kind of social distancing. But as things continue to come up, just continue to stay in contact with the chamber. You can join our email list at linktree/mygabc. You'll get on our email list. And then chamber members, please remember to check your emails, You're getting a lot of time sensitive information as we continue to support our business owners through the COVID-19. So I just wanted to give that information out. Kiona, any other last words for our viewers or how they can contact you? I know we had the information on the slide. Did you want to add anything else before we end the live?
Yes, I did want to share. We have three local branches there in the Augusta market. You can actually reach out to the actual retail district manager. Her name is Monique Nguyen, and her direct line is area code 706 220 1266. Again, that's area code 706 220 1266. If she doesn't pick up, please leave a voicemail. She does typically return calls within that 24-hour period. But we do have three locations there: Bel Air Road, Daniel Village, and Peach Orchard. Normal business hours Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5, Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then on Saturday, 9 a.m. to noon. One other thing I want to share with the whole impact to COVID 19, if you are feeling yourself in a pinch or just your budget is real, just a little tight and becoming uncomfortable, please reach out to your creditors. Call them, find out what hardship or payment programs they do have available. And you get to decide whether you want to take it now or later. But if you're starting to feel that pinch, be proactive and call to find out what's available. I'll tell you, I did, just as a FYI, just to know, because things happen, things come up. And just so our household would know, because I mentioned earlier, I had a car repair come up and I was not thinking it was going to be that much. However, I was able to pay that car repayment versus going out and buying a new car. However, I did have to go back and look at our budget and just shift some things around, like, okay, we have to have a car to be able to go back and forth to work. But just being proactive versus reactive, at least knowing your options are the main things. And if we can help out, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to be a resource for you. This is not a sales opportunity at all. We want people to understand and take control of their lives. And as always, Ronnie, thank you for your partnership and thank you for having us today.
Yes, thank you, Kiona, again. Again, Karen said it was great information. Thanks for sharing the interesting tips. And I just love your presentation style, Kiona, because I always feel like you always make it real world. All of us are dealing with different situations, have different items that come up within our budgets. Or, some of us are okay, but a lot of us are actually having a lot of difficulties. I know this, the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce, they were dropping numbers that our unemployment rate is at 16.8% right now. Besides what people are saying, I did drop those numbers also on my Facebook page the other day. And then also through COVID-19, our Black businesses have been disproportionately affected the most. So it's very important that you really get in contact with the chamber and so forth. We are sending out information not only to our members, but also to non-members. We want to make sure that we are here to support Black businesses, small businesses in this area, period. We don't want to really have that, that structure that has been happening across the country, which I think is 440,000 businesses, Black businesses have been affected by COVID-19. That's about 41% of our Black businesses. So you will see a lot more information come out. It's a lot of grants that you will see coming down the pipeline. Also, the PPP, which I discussed last week, I'm going to say again, they are not out of money. Kiona, can you confirm that for me, please?
Yes, the PPP, that money, the Payment Protection Program does have funds available. Please call and apply, or please call and get information. You not knowing is the worst thing. Please call. You would never know unless you ask. And we can't help you if you don't say anything.
That's true. And also they just reopened the application for the disaster loan yesterday. So you can apply for that if you missed the first wave. The disaster loan application is back open. So that's the type of things that you really get by being members of Chamber of Commerce. So we can get the information to you quickly. We also then share it out with the general community. But if you're a member of the chamber, we'll get it to you as soon as we're getting that information to get it out to you guys as we share it through our network and then with our business owners. So that's all the information we have today. Again, I'm Ronnie West, president of Greater Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce. We had Kiona Peters, one of our just partners that we've had since day one. So we really appreciate Fifth Third Bank and the partnership that we've had. We're looking forward to do a lot of great things as we continue to, of course, support the CSRA area in Greater Augusta. Everybody have a great evening. And thank you again, Kiona, for coming on and sharing this vital information with us.
No problem. Talk to you soon.